Hello and welcome to this special edition of Encore. Today we're in Arles, in the south of France, for one of the most prestigious photography festivals in the world. Les Rencontres d'Arles last all summer, and it's very much a platform for professionals to exchange with the public. All styles and artistic trends are represented here. For this show, we have the pleasure of welcoming Evangelia Kranioti. Hello, thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
You have a solo show here, so in a way you've been put forward by organizers. What does it represent for you? I imagine you're pretty honored.
Yes, but Arles is, it's a very important moment in the career of any photographer, and it's also something like a landmark as well. So when you start working in photography, I guess unconsciously or consciously you expect this moment where your work will be shown here. It's the place where everyone gets together once in a year to discover new or confirmed photographers. It's a huge honor to come for the first time here, and with a solo show that is not a retrospective, but in a way it condenses about 10 years of work. And this helped me also look back and understand what has been my trip and my traveling time and my work all these years. So on many levels, it's something I will always remember.
Your exhibition is called The Living, the Dead and Those at Sea. Tell us a bit more, and why that title?
Well, this title is supposedly attributed to Aristotle, and as I'm Greek, it was very evident for me. The living are all of us, and the dead are all these communities around the world, where our queer community in Rio de Janeiro, people living in the necropolis in Cairo, or maids that have no papers in Lebanon, and of course sailors and prostitutes, are the dead, socially seen dead. And suddenly this title was everything put together.
Before we talk more about your art, let's take a moment to hear from the director of Les Rencontres d'Arles. He told our reporter Karina Chabour what to watch out for in this very eclectic selection. Take a listen.
50 years, 50 exhibitions, that's 15 more than usual. A way of looking to the past with a certain number of projects, revisiting the 70s and 80s, such as Movida, the Spanish photography movement. But the DNA of Arles is also to look into the future, to explore the 50 years ahead, to discover future talents. So it's this bridge between past and future that we've tried to build in this 50th edition of the festival, celebrating 100 years, 50 years in the past, 50 in the future.
The director came under fire last year when a group of eminent photography specialists published an open letter calling for more women to be selected at Arles. And it does seem that he did take the criticism on board, making quite some changes for this edition. France 24's Karina Chabour brings us a report after meeting with the iconic photographer Susan MEISELAS from Magnum Agency. And also this report will take you deep into the work of Helen Levitt with her very poetic shots of New York. Take a look.
Bravo, Suzanne.
I'm truly honored to receive the first Women in Motion Award, but on behalf of all the great women who also came before me, and I hope this award actually gives presence to the many great women who deserve more recognition.
An award to celebrate a career spanning more than 40 years and to acknowledge the contribution of women to photography. Often criticized for its gender bias, the Arles Festival is reworking its image. It still isn't equal representation, but this year 15 women are exhibiting their work, as opposed to only 3 last year. Among them Susan MEISELAS and her portraits of strippers made in small-town America in the 1970s. The accomplished photographer sees the potential for change in the wake of the Me Too movement.
We're calling out for recognition, acknowledgement of the absence of women. We're building a momentum where people are more conscious and more concerned. So that's the positive. It's just taken 50 years, which is astounding. In the early 70s, I would never have imagined it would be such an uphill battle.
Before her, another American woman, Helen Levitt, helped crack the glass ceiling. The late photographer spent her life documenting everyday New York, but was often overshadowed in her time by the men with whom she worked.
Is just influenced by Henri Cartier-Bresson, or she is just influenced by Walker Evans. But she took these influences and made something new out of it, and that's what we also want to show in the exhibition. For example, of Henri Cartier-Bresson, she took the decisive moment in a way, but she made her own style out of it, and that's important.
Once dubbed the most celebrated and least known photographer of her time, Levitt is being honored at Arles with a show of 130 prints, many of which had never been published. A moment of hope for the many women still fighting for space in galleries and museums.
So we are back with Evangelia Kranioti. What do these legendary photographers, Susan MEISELAS or Helen Levitt, represent for you? Are they an example? Do you find inspiration in their works,
Yes,
maybe?
Yes, definitely. And I must speak a little bit more about Susan MEISELAS because her work, Carnival Strippers, groundbreaking work, has been one of my references for the work I started in Rio, everywhere around the world on prostitutes and sailors. So, yes, inspiration and also example in the sense of it was always exciting for me to know that there are women out there that lead a life made of travels, of departures, and of creation.
And your solo show, your solo exhibition here now brings together many parts of your work throughout the years. Is there one project that's very special to you, to your heart, that maybe changed the way you see art or even life?
Yes, I think it's Exotica, Erotica, etc. The project that, should be the answer to this question, because it has been the first time I became conscious of what I want to do, both in photography and in film. I don't know if I laid back or I went fast forward, but I just took the time to understand how I want to deal with reality at hand. And all these notions of documentary, of fiction, all these things just started to reveal themselves through Exotica, Erotica, etc.
And in Beirut Fictions, you met African and Asian maids who find themselves in a foreign country with very little hope of integration. How did you find these maids, and how difficult was it maybe to convince them to let you take pictures of them?
Not difficult at all. In Beirut, what I discovered, again going back in the ports when I always like to visit in a new country, when I go in new cities, I discovered the existence of these women lost in a city that is so cosmopolitan, so made of many strata, and they would add another one to it, like a new anthropogeography. So it was not difficult to go towards them. What was the twist was when I discovered the concept of making them wear the sas of beauty contests. That was the most challenging, and then it was like a game.
Is it fair to say that migration is very much a recurring theme to your work? Working also on people who are marginalized and ostracized?
Migration. I would go for migration, for exile, and for, as I said again, displacement. They are notions in the heart of my work.
You were born in Greece, of course. You also attended some of the most prestigious schools in France, but you are Greek. You've seen your country go through very difficult times recently with the economic crisis. What's your point of view on the situation in the country, and are you hopeful for the future?
I left Greece with a desire to discover the world, and I felt more Greek than ever, way far away from Greece. I wanted to place my look upon during the years of the crisis. It's when I discovered my own country and my own culture under a more fragile light. I saw much more humanity and tenderness. I had more tenderness about it. And even though I feel sad and I feel affected, my family is still there. I think the future holds something much better for Greece. And I want to be there now in the change to film its people and to film the newcomers, the other cultures that are in Greece. And I also feel like a stranger coming back to it. This is what I like.
Evangelia Kranioti, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. It's the end of our special show on the 50th anniversary of Les Rencontres d'Arles that will end the festival on September 22nd. I leave you with pictures from a very different type of exhibition. Some are calling this raw photography or raw art. The photographers are all amateurs, all self-taught artists, many who are homeless or with mental illnesses. I leave you with these pictures. See you soon and stay tuned to France 24.